Okay, I've started the recording and I think we'll go ahead and get started here. So if you haven't attended any of these sessions yet, you'll notice that TransIT looks significantly different in TransIT 7. First of all, no longer will your name be here. It'll be an initial here. To get to your user settings, if I click here and go to my user settings, then you see here's where you can sign out, where you can change your password, where you can say what email and phone number you wanted to be notified at. There's also for test rounds the ability to say if you want to receive text or email. The plans piece isn't there yet. It will be there soon. If we go back then to the home, there's areas here as well that are specific to you. So if you're an admin, your screen will look a little bit different. You'll have another box. But for right now, we have boxes that are to do with testing. Again, there will be ones coming for plans that just aren't there yet, and they'll indicate sort of which plans are active and which activities you're assigned to, but those are not there today. If I click on plans, this looks substantially like it looks right now. And Travis put a poll in the chat for us. Right now in TransIT 6, there's a description, but there's also a comment column. And that comment column is you could right click on any plan and edit and put some sort of a comment here. So if a plan was delayed or if you wanted to say something about a plan, you could put a comment and would show. That's not currently available in TransIT 7. There is a request out there for that to be added. It hasn't been prioritized that highly right now. So we're wanting people to vote and say whether or not, because the reason it hasn't been prioritized high is because people aren't actually using it right now. So I think it's a cool feature. I was the one who asked for it to be there, but it really isn't being used. So again, just vote in the chat on whether or not you would like that to be added back. If you say you want it added back, start using it. No, anyway, so the rest of this is pretty similar to the way it is now, except that the icons are not necessarily the same. So anytime that you fail something, then it has this X icon. Anytime you log an issue, it has this bug icon, and the actual issue list itself has bugs in it. And this is our past indicator. So this is all relatively the same as it is now. When we go inside and look at a plan, then there are some differences in the custom columns. So if I right click and oh, I'm sorry, I signed on as I need to be signed on as an admin to customize columns, I guess. So if I go to my plans and I go into a plan and I right click to be able to customize the columns, there's some slight differences in here. The control types that are available are slightly different. So if I wanted to add a new column, these are the control types that are available to list. So there's no longer the role multi-select or the user multi-select. It's just the single select here. But the standard columns of assigned and the standard column of role are still multi-select. So you can only have one multi-select in your plan. On top of that, in TransIT 7, the columns try to adjust automatically to give you the maximum number of rows on the screen. And so sometimes that makes some of the columns really wide that you don't need to be wide. So you can see in this case, I've put a checkbox in the maximum width for this checkbox column. And if I go back and look at my plan, then you can see that that medication one is small. So you can see these ones sized to be more the size of the label. And I know a lot of people are building a lot of plans now with a whole bunch of checkboxes. So if you had 10 checkboxes, it might make them all wider than you needed. So again, everything's going to auto size to fit the maximum amount on the screen that can be shown on the screen. And if you want to have something different, then that's when you would use these max and mins. So this is sort of a general indicator of how wide you want it to be, but if you want it to be a fixed width, you have to use this box. So hopefully everybody gets that. If you are adding a custom column and you are wanting to use a reference list, then you give it a control type of reference list. And when you do that, it automatically gives you this box that allows you to select from existing reference lists. So I go in, and these are built by somebody with admin capabilities, has the ability to do these, set up these lists. And so I can select from one that's already there. So for example, if I wanted it to be a yes, no field, I could click yes, no, and click save. If I don't do that, and it's going to automatically pull in from the custom list. If I don't do that, if I add another one, and I say it's a reference list, and I don't put anything in that field, then what it's going to do is it's automatically going to assign a custom list. So if there's things that you're using all the time, so things like your team names, if you've built all of your work stream names, or if you're doing a lot of communication plans, things like that in TransIT, and you want to build the communication vehicles, things like that that you know you're going to use frequently, then make sure you notify your admin about that so that they can build those custom lists. Otherwise, you can build it on the fly. So in this case, I click here, and it takes me here to this reference list for this plan. I just click add, and I say whatever I want to add in there. And I just build that list on the fly. In TransIT 7, we don't inactivate like you used to have right click and activate all over the place for things. Now instead you mark for deletion. If I mark it for deletion, it means that that is not going to show up in the settings. So if I were to use this custom field now, the only choice would actually be my second choice because I marked this one for deletion. So if we go back to the plans page and go back into that plan, then my reference list field here, if I go and look, the only thing that's available is second choice. Because although I built something called first choice, I also marked it for deletion, and so it's no longer available. So hopefully those things make sense. There's also, when you create a new plan now, there's the choice down here whether or not you want to add times to your starts and finishes. So if you're just doing a simple list, you may not want it, but if you're building a cutover plan, you're going to want to select that. There's also category is one of the custom lists. So if there's categories of things that you want to use in plans, that's another thing that you're going to want to talk to your admin about adding for you. So when I fill in the fields I want, and in this case, if it's a cutover plan, I'm probably going to say yes, that I want the dates and times to show. So obviously, if it's a cutover plan and you're cutting over at midnight and there's 5 million things leading up to midnight, then you don't want them all to just show the same date. You want the time to be there as well. And when I click save, these are the standard columns that come in now with the plan. So this is what's always going to come in with the plan. And if there's additional columns you want, that's when you would add in the custom columns. Other things in a plan, you can add rows by just doing that, and then add in your information afterwards. You can also import a plan from Excel. So what we recommend you do is, first of all, do an export, and that will give you the headers as they need to be. So here are the headers that are standard. If you had customized columns, it would show those columns here as custom columns, and you'd be able to upload. Then you just go in and, put in whatever you want. If I could spell. And save your file. Then if I go back to my plan, I can import that in. and it's just going to add them in. So much easier to upload and work around inside plans now. Issues work slightly differently. If I want to go ahead and add an issue, then I just click log new issue here. It brings up the issue list. It's a two-step process to log an issue by intention, because often the person logging the issue has, a certain amount of information, but doesn't have all the information. So I'm going to log this issue and I can choose from the categories. If it has a vendor and application specific to it, then you can choose that here. Severity and impact are two things that drive priority. So in our class for admins, we're working through with them, developing severity and impacts for each of your organizations, and then it'll drive the priority. So if I can choose from whatever the list is and choose the impact, then it's going to automatically define a priority on the issue list. There is the ability to do screenshots now. So if I wanted to do a screenshot, then I do my screenshot and I paste it in here. On the outside of the issue, it shows it as a attachment here. And then I guess I should put something is. And then when I click create, it saves it. And if I hover over it, it then gives me the information. If I go now to my issue list and access that issue. Hang on, I'm not sure why it didn't go to the issue. Might be because I added that screenshot in incorrectly. Sorry about that, but at any rate, so the issues page looks different. And because I put in the severity and the impact, it gave me a priority. If we go and access another issue, oh, it seems like maybe there's a problem with the issues right now. So I won't be able to demo that. Does anybody have any questions about what I showed with regard to plans? Okay, there are other sessions available for testing and for admins. And so if you haven't joined, there's also the opportunity on the 15th of December to attend our virtual user group meeting. If you're not on the list for that, you can access our website and go to the virtual user group page and just request to be added. There also is, obviously, we're planning to go live on Thursday after business hours this week. So Friday, it will be different. If you want to go in and play, I'll put this link in the chat. So your existing production username and password should work. If it doesn't, we can reset it for you, but that's the link to get to the domain if anybody wants to get in and play between now and then. All of your existing plans have been converted over, so more than happy to have people go in and look and confirm that everything as they expect it to be. If no one has any other questions, that's all I was intending to show today. So thank you very much, everybody.